KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that caring for the community means caring about the climate. You might have heard that we announced a pretty bold 12-month, $2 million campaign to do 4 things. Increase climate literacy, turn up the volume on communities of color in the climate conversation, connect everyday people with the resources they need to survive and thrive, and highlight frontline climate justice crusaders of color throughout this year. KBLA Talk 1580 will be bringing you insightful interviews on all of our shows to help raise your climate IQ. Each quarter this year, we will also be hosting free climate events in various communities throughout the city with food, fun, and forward-thinking conversations. Thanks to partners like LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, the Sierra Club, the California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, AQMD, MWD, and more. You'll also be hearing more about a couple of national town halls broadcasting live from Los Angeles, to which you will be invited. And we'll be rolling out a robust social media campaign on all our platforms, as well as an outdoor media campaign, all designed to educate, enlighten, and empower you in our fight for climate justice.
We want cleaner air.
Caring about the community means caring about the climate. At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that we really can change the world if we care enough. If we care enough. If we care enough. If we care enough. If we care enough.
Welcome back into Hour 3 of RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Listen, this hour we are going to get into the Black audience media consumption. We consume the most media out of any other demographic in the United States. We're going to talk a little bit about why we think that is and what that means in the long run. We're also going to get into a little bit of Carmelo Anthony. You know, his son is rising up the ranks as far as his hoops career. But Melo has said something that caught a lot of people by surprise as far as his son's potential college career. So we're going to get into that. We're also going to, finish going over a little bit of Kanye and his financial issues. And Ye has a new interview dropping because new music means I'm going to interview with unconventional sources. That is one thing that I find so interesting about not just Kanye, but we saw it with Drake, we saw it with 21 Savage, how there are new routes that artists are taking in order to reach. And I guess it's kind of confusing to me. Are they trying to reach new audiences? Is this where they think their audience is? Because when I think about, Nicki Minaj did it too, going on, Kai Cenat, and what's the other streamer guy's name? Is it Aiden Ross? The one that supposedly 21 Savage cheated in the card game. It's interesting to me that they are taking these different audiences, and I wonder what the thought process is. Do they feel that that is where their audience lives, or are they trying to reach a new, different type of fan base by tapping in with these people? And is it working? Are you... And again, I'm not saying it's wrong. Obviously, you want to reach as many people as possible, but stepping into these different spaces and kind of sometimes playing yourself, and not in the, okay, you look a little uncomfortable interviewing with somebody, but really, going out of your way to get down on the level of these people. We saw it a little bit with the Bobby Atoff woman and so forth. I just wonder, is it paying off for them? Like, is it just more social media chatter? Is it just basically you're on a different platform and we're just taking it and coming back and talking about it? Or are you really connecting and reaching these fans and it's turning into streams for you? Andy?
I think it's everything. I think it's all of it. It's exposure. Whether the conversion rate is popping or not. I mean, I think there's something. Even if it's just one individual. So, I mean, I'm not mad at them. I get it. I understand it.
My only question with it, and I suppose there's funny Marco in there, is that why, for the most part, does it seem like when they're tapping into these new and different media spaces, a lot of the time it isn't with, young people of color or ones that are kind of, I know. It doesn't always have to be that, and you want to reach a different audience. I'm not saying again every time, but never time. It's like, oh, look at me. I'm going to the alternative ones, but you go to the same ones that the other two rappers before you just did. That's all I'm saying. I'm just, you guys are all trying to reach the same kids. I'm sure there's other ones out there, but it just seems like, we're definitely in a pattern. And it's like, I don't want to deal with mainstream media. It's all the same thing. But then even when you're spreading to these other ones, you're still kind of sticking to the same formula.
Because same formula, but it's still a new audience, though.
It is. It is. I'm just curious on how it's working out and will it lead to, a more expanded view of the type of music, the type of artist they can be, or is it just kind of, pandering to an audience that's not really going to rock with you anyway? Just kind of curious. No real dog in the fight, just a curiosity. Kendi in the chat says going to alternative media sources allows artists to reach their fan base without needing to align yourself politically with a gatekeeper. Oh, young Kendi, here's the thing though. It may not be the same gatekeepers, but I assure you there are some gatekeepers on this other side in some form or fashion in the way that things are. It's not just the wild, wild west. It's not just free. And as I pointed out, it's not everybody that is getting access to these things. It's particular ones. It's a rollout. And it's like everybody got the blueprint and the script, and that's what they're following. I'm not saying I'm mad at it. I'm just curious about it. And where do we go from here? And will, other types get as much exposure, FaceTime, one-on-one time as some of these others? Because it seems like when you look on the other side or the more urban ones, they're still going the more traditional route or the more name high-level route, because we know everybody has a podcast at this point. Absolutely everybody. When we come forward, more trending topics and headlines. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do Black history every single day. In fact, as the only Black talk radio station west of the Mississippi, we are Black history. Our annual Black History Month luncheon is fast approaching, and we want to be sure to give you ample time to get your company, organization, church, or group to join us at this year's celebration on the last day of the month, Thursday, February 29th at noon. Last year, we honored iconic local Black media personalities, including Pat Harvey, Jim Hill, Mark Brown, Beverly White, Sandy Banks, and Pat Prescott, and raised $20,000 in scholarships. This year, we're honoring Black Hollywood creatives who have used their artistic genius as climate justice champions. At this year's luncheon, we will be showcasing and sharing their inspiring work on our big screen. Plus, a scrumptious meal, live music, great company, and lots of fun with your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts. So contact us today at info@smileyaudio.com smileyAudiomedia.com or call 323-290-4690. That's info at smileyAudiomedia.com or call 323-290-4690. We hope to see you Thursday, February 29th as we close out Black History Month. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights, though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain safely in their homes. Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040. We've got your black with a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So we were talking a little bit about, media sources and where some of the rappers are choosing to spend their time. Again, no shade, no tea. Just wondering how come it never seems to be, really off brand. Just curious. Kendi in the chat says, the reason they might not choose a person of color is because all skin folk ain't kinfolk. That is facts, but there are some that are, and choose one of them. I'm not saying that there's anyone in particular that they have to choose. I'm not saying that they only have to go to, black media and outlets and sources. But if you're being generous with your time and you're stepping into new media areas, I don't understand why you, as someone who was up and coming yourself, wouldn't give a shot to someone else that is up and coming, that's quality, that's maybe of color. That's all I'm saying. If you're stepping out the box and you're trying new things and you're tapping into new audiences in new ways, and some of them do it. We've seen random things like there's the guy that is the old Gen Zer that everyone said, he's 25 or 26, and people were like, he looks like a 40-year-old husband, but he kind of looks like Method Man. He has a new TikTok, and he got Method Man in his TikTok. Shout out to Method Man. Method Man is also hosting the Essence Women in Hollywood Awards that are taking place next month. I think that is a nice treat for the ladies. I'll be in the building to see if we can talk to Meth for us. Anyway, but I thought that was cool. I think it's cool sometimes when we have seen, artists jump, like Johnny Gill jumped in on the challenge when those girls were doing the Rub You the Right Way challenge or whatever. I think it's cool when they do things like that give, creators that maybe have a buzz that are out there interviewing, things like that. And you see them do it. Again, it's curious to me when the hesitancy to, and I'm not saying who it should be in particular, but just when it doesn't reflect back to some of the support. Kendi also says, you don't have any organized black media that would do that today because a lot of black media is preoccupied with trying to emulate white media so they can get invited to the table. Let me stop you right there, Kendi. As someone who is black media, as someone who is black entertainment media, as someone who deals with a lot of people that are black media across the scope. I think that this idea that one, all of black media is represented in one form or fashion, clearly false. Two, we've seen a lot of black media on all levels do some amazing jobs. And I'm not saying they have to go to the old hierarchy, the old way of doing things. There's lots of young content creators, media up and comers that would love the shot and the shot in the arm that they could get if a 21 Savage came and talked to them or whatever, whatever. I understand you're trying to reach out to another audience, but I also say there is some value in tapping in with the audience that is there for you. The foolish idea is that you think you will always be able to retain that audience, that you can ignore them, bypass them, skip over them. And let me say this. We are a loving and forgiving people. We always welcome our people back like they're there. However, I do think that as we are getting more and more out there, you can't take advantage of your audience and just take them for granted, is what I'm saying. You can't just assume that they're going to stand up and be lockstep for you if you are not also speaking to them and reaching out for them. It is, a reciprocal relationship. Andy?
Are you insinuating that they're not going to black media anymore? Is that what you're saying?
Well, what I'm saying, I'm not saying that they're not.
Okay.
When you look at, but what I am saying is that the exclusive, the bigger interviews, the more time, they are definitely, when they're tapping into newer spaces or newer audiences or whatever, they aren't necessarily giving that same shot that they are to some of these other young and upcoming upstarts.
Well, let's name them. Let's name them.
Let's name who?
Let's name these up and coming media platforms.
Okay. Well, I mean,
that's black.
There's a lot of them that are women, but I mean, not just they're women. I'm being funny saying that. Not really being funny, but I mean, one, let's say, okay, I came across Gina Views last night. I didn't get a chance to talk to her. I really wanted to talk to her. I went to the premiere for Vince Staples' new Netflix show, and she was there. But here's my thing. I don't see any of these, and Gina has her own podcast. I don't see a lot of these girls, these female rappers, ones that are coming out, tapping in with Gina, right? I'm just saying, we've talked about this, right? Gina's somebody you told me I should tap in with, right?
Yeah.
But I don't see them making efforts to shout her out like they are, some of these other people. I'm just examples.
So like a Nicki Minaj or something,
or a Lotto, or just any of them. I'm just saying, heck, or a 21 Savage. I'm just saying, when these new projects are rolling out, right, and they're tapping into different spaces or with different media types that they haven't spent a lot of time with, again, I'm all for expansion, but you all seem to expand to the same ones during the same time period. And there's a lot of other ones that, seem to be overlooked. Don't know why. Again, it could just be the blueprint, the script.
I think that's what it is. Like, for example, the fact that Drake went on Bobby, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because of that, it obviously built her name.
Right. And everybody else followed suit.
I mean, so same thing with like Club Shay Shay, for example, right? Cat Williams done broke numbers. Now all of a sudden everybody want to be on Club Shay Shay.
Correct. But see the difference here, and this is what I mean, right? And I'm sure there's one, I might just not be familiar with her, but TikTok, but Drake is someone, and we'll use Drake because Drake is someone that I feel like always stays on the cutting edge. He kind of taps into what's bubbling, what's next. And we've always seen it. We saw that when he jumped on with Migos. We saw that when he collaborated with Kendrick back in the day. Just the social media, he knows. And so I feel like there's probably a black Bobby Atoff out there, female, right? Or a Latina. And just, again, this is just hypothetical. My point is these same shots and opportunities that they'll give to some of these other streamers and Twitchers, they won't give that same opportunity on the black media side. They're just going to go to their new opportunity is with Shannon Sharp and Club Shay Shay. And yeah, but no. You get what I'm saying? That's kind of what I'm saying the difference is.
So like, you're not counting like $1 million worth of game. Uh, it is what it is. You're not counting those platforms. You're talking about up and coming people that we really don't even know too much about.
Because, like, for example, the Aiden Ross guy, or even Kai Cenat, he wasn't a rapper first and then started his podcast. He hadn't been in the industry. He just was doing his thing on Twitch, got popular, and then they came and tapped in, right? Because they went to where the culture is. I don't feel that they give those same breaks on the other side of Black media. That's just all. And again, I'm not saying they have to. And obviously, they're reaching out and tapping into different areas. But to me, it just seems apparent that they will give the benefit of the doubt to certain types, but not to someone that is comparable on the same side. $1 million worth of game. Wallow, I mean, do you know what I'm saying? They've been established in the music industry to a degree, right? They did have to jump out the window and build up their audience. I'm not taking anything away from them, but I'm saying it's a little different than some of these others that are really grassroots. They're not going to give that look to them on the other side. I think it's just sometimes how we look at up and coming, depending upon what side of the culture line we lean towards.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, if we're gonna use Bobby as an example, what she got Drake, she got Nicki.
She got Offset. She got Sukiana's on there. A couple other people that were, and then it flipped for her the other way. She also got some big people that are not on the urban side, like Jessica Alba, and other people like that. So, but here's the thing. And this is a key thing. Part of her cool came from these Black artists going on there and upping the profile again. She was a mommy blogger.
So we helped her out too then.
We did. But what I'm saying is, why do we never seem to want to give that kind of love, that kind of bump to someone that is on the same level but a little more in the urban
Okay,
base?
you said him, but then I think you kind of like put him to the side. Funny Marco. I mean, he's up and coming, but he got a legendary little interview with Nicki, and I don't know the other artists, but Funny Marco.
Dre, I mean,
come up,
yeah. But again, did they go to Funny when he was just at 100,000 followers and still putting in the work? I'm just saying, sometimes it feels like they'll give shots to
established.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they have to. Again, even with some of us, like, Kendi mentioned all skin folk and kin folk, and I'm not saying they're not, but I do feel like sometimes in this space, if you're Black and urban, right, or especially, let's say, because I'm a woman, if you're a Black female, sometimes you have to work a little harder and prove yourself a little more than you do on the other side. You don't get the same benefit of the doubt. You don't get those shots. I mean, you think about someone like a Tasha K, for example, right? And the people that go to her, no shade, no tea, are people that seem to have a vendetta, right? She did start getting bigger ones, but it kind of was like a Club Shay Shay on a lower, they had an axe to grind with their other person, right? They weren't going to Tasha K if they were at the top of their game. They're going because they want to stick it to somebody, right?
Okay.
So I'm saying, but what I'm saying is somewhere there's probably a Tasha K antithesis, anti-Tasha K, right? On the opposite side. Positive, good, loving, flowing, right? Maybe with some decent numbers, but they're not going to give that girl a shot yet. She's going to have to do something miraculous before they would give the same shot that they do like a Funny Marco or something like that. Again, I wasn't really prepared for this conversation. It just kind of came up, so I don't have my full examples, but that's just kind of what I see. Again, nothing wrong with them stepping into new arenas. I'm just curious sometimes why those new arenas seem to sidestep some areas over here.
How do you feel about Jason Lee?
Hollywood Unlocked, Jason?
Yeah. Got his own podcast and everything.
He does.
I feel like, he just, if I'm not mistaken, he had the Hollywood Unlocked Awards or something like
He
that.
He does. He's actually having
name is bubbling right now.
It is. He's running for city council in Sacramento. He's having a fundraising event next week. I actually just got an invite to it. Jason is, Jason's somebody that always wanted to be famous and figured out a way to be famous and to get it in there. He uses a different style to work his way in there. And it's interesting because first people did not want to deal with him. And then when the numbers were there, then they were like, okay, I'll slide in. I may not really want to, but the numbers are there. But that's kind of my point. You got to do something. Well, not my point, but what I'm saying with this is, again, right? Jason, some people may consider him messy, some twisty, whatever, if they're going to step on the scene. But they know they can't avoid him because the numbers are there. Some of these people on the other side may not have the numbers in the same way, but have a collective kind of tap in. And I'm sure there's somebody like that on the other side, but they're not going to give them the benefit of the doubt. They're going to look at them and say, yeah, you might be tapping into the culture, but your numbers aren't there yet. But they'll give the shot over here. That's all I'm saying. Favor ain't fair. I understand that, and they're not obligated to. But again, they will run back and say, my people don't support me. My people not in the trenches with me. But they won't offer that same support on the same side. It's a tricky business. It's stick and move, You just gotta get in there, try and make those relationships and connections where you can. But again, I know they're probably following somebody else's script, but I just watch it. Because sometimes I wonder, you never ask the question, who's the younger version of this person? Who's the upcoming Jason Lee or something like that? Let's go talk to him and make his day. And then it'll go viral because we stepped out with somebody new and gave them a shot. And they're so in awe that it's a feel-good story. Look, I know you got some thoughts, Andy. We'll get to them on the other side. When we come for more trending topics and headlines, we're going to get to this number about Black audiences consuming the most media. I mean, if you looked at the podcast views we've had as of lately and our conversations, it's really not a question why. But we'll get into that on the other side. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Maryland Governor Wes Moore continues to have a solid approval rating. The latest Gonzalez research poll shows 58% of respondents approve of the job Moore is doing, while 28% disapprove and 14% had no opinion. Among Democrats, Moore, who is Black, has a 74% approval rating, while 57% of Republicans disapprove of the governor. Pressure is building on Speaker Mike Johnson to bring Ukraine and Israel funding to the House floor for a vote. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who is Black, told reporters there are enough votes in the House to send the bill to President Biden's desk today. Johnson says he will not hold a vote on the supplemental spending due to a lack of strict border policy provisions. The legislation includes $60 billion for Ukraine, $14 billion for Israel in its war with Hamas, and nearly $5 billion to support partners in the Indo-Pacific. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Progressive Insurance is making it easy to save money. When you bundle your auto policy with home, condo, or renters, you'll earn a multi-policy discount. Easy to bundle, easy to save. Visit Progressive.com. That's Progressive.com.
Climate is king.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that caring for the community means caring about the climate. You might have heard that we announced a pretty bold 12-month, $2 million campaign to do 4 things. Increase climate literacy, turn up the volume on communities of color in the climate conversation, connect everyday people with the resources they need to survive and thrive, and highlight frontline climate justice crusaders of color throughout this year. KBLA Talk 1580 will be bringing you insightful interviews on all of our shows to help raise your climate IQ. Each quarter this year, we will also be hosting free climate events in various communities throughout the city with food, fun, and forward-thinking conversations. Thanks to partners like LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, the Sierra Club, the California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, AQMD, MWD, and more. You'll also be hearing more about a couple of national town halls broadcasting live from Los Angeles, to which you will be invited. And we'll be rolling out a robust social media campaign on all our platforms, as well as an outdoor media campaign, all designed to educate, enlighten, and empower you in our fight for climate justice.
We want cleaner air.
Caring about the community means caring about the climate. At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that we really can change the world if we care enough. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment. LA's 99 neighborhood councils form the grassroots level of the Los Angeles city government. The system was created to connect LA's diverse communities to City Hall. While neighborhood council board members are volunteers, they are also public officials elected to office by the members of their community. Neighborhood councils advocate on issues like homelessness, housing, land use, emergency preparedness, public safety, parks, transportation, and sustainability. They also provide local expertise on the delivery of city services to their various communities. Neighborhood councils are open to participation by anyone who is a part of the fabric of daily life in said community. This includes those who live, work, or own property or a business. If you are interested in stepping up to join your local neighborhood council, visit www.empowerla.org. That's empowerla.org. It's time to think globally, but act locally. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
That was another way. I would smoke once an hour. That didn't work either. All that would happen at some point of the day, I would end up doubling up. Other ways that I tried to quit was I stopped buying cigarettes totally. But if I took 3 puffs off of 15 friends, those didn't count because they weren't my cigarettes and they weren't full cigarettes. I went through a lot.
Every attempt is part of your story to quit for good. Visit Kick It California today at kickitca.org.
Linking social justice and climate justice all year long. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Watch out! You got me! The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
A psoriasis flare-up can make a walk in the park, well, no walk in the park.
It's that obvious, huh? I've tried so many lotions and creams, but I still have symptoms.
So those don't do enough to treat the inflammation beneath the skin, leaving you with those uncontrolled symptoms.
Makes sense, but what else can I do?
You can get real with your dermatologist so they can help you get clear. Make an appointment and, you're already on it.
Hi, yes, I'd like to make an appointment.
Get real clear about psoriasis at letsgetrealclear.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking. Now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Baby, pay me the hook. Baby, pay me the hook. I make love. Baby, pay me the hook. Hey, baby, just play me the hook. Tan of the place. I'm a rich, got Chanel on my waist. Run up on me playing, I'ma aim it at your face. And that go for anybody, anyway. Hey, I'm a rich blood by the way. And I'm having swag, roll it old like a tape. Bitch scared, yeah, like I do on the base. Don't wanna talk, then they say I need some space. Whoop, 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 my new car get up. I just paid the cop, now I'm running out of court. And I run top, I'ma put it on the rocks. Crawl, walk, and hop, got all of these shots. Hey, don't my leg whiter than my socks. I don't wanna talk it in my guap. Cloning young, still flop. I buy banks by the two, no pop. Hey, baby, pay me the hook. Baby, pay me the hook. Baby, pay me the hook. Hey, baby, just play me the hook.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. All I know is the chorus. I have no idea what the other lyrics are, but it's vibing. Welcome back in. Listen, always on theme, Andy. That's what he is for tonight, but he's always on theme. That goes into our next topic before we get into our Black media consumption. Money Long, you know, she has a hit song going viral right now on TikTok. Friend, where have you been? I can't sing, y'all. But, you know, you've seen it. You've seen some of the moves. Nobody. Anyway, in a recent interview, she was talking about the chokehold that hookah seems to have on the Black community and why we need to really be diligent if we're into the hookah thing about where we're getting our sources from, because you already know off deck that hookah's not really healthy for you. But the way that you consume it can cause even further damage. So let's take a look at the points.
Atlanta has a hookah problem. I'm sorry.
What's wrong with that?
Mind you, I live in LA. I've been there for a decade.
Ain't no hookah out there.
Yes, it is.
Where it is?
In the sense that you would go to like the Mediterranean spot or the halal spot. Yeah. And then you could do hookah at night. They give it to you with like milk to make it smoother. Mm-hmm. They put like the fruit around the rim.
You know what you're talking about over there.
And it's the shisha.
Yeah,
the shisha.
Which is like the gel tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, they not giving you shisha. You're getting regular tobacco in that hookah. And it's not the coal. They're supposed to come around and tap that coal every few, 30 minutes to tap off all the soot. So next time when y'all go do hookah and you pay attention, they're not doing that, but the coal is getting smaller and smaller.
It's going through
no, it's not. Yeah. It's going in the air.
That too.
So like if you're in the hookah spot and your throat is burning, when you go home and you blow your nose and see how much soot is in your nose, it's so unhealthy. Yeah. And then you're not supposed to be smoking out the plastic, because that plastic, all the microplastics going in your throat. It's supposed to be a wooden nozzle.
Teach them.
So I'm just like, y'all not doing hookah, y'all are doing spooka.
I just don't like the fact that there's no hookahs in the clubs in LA.
Because it's not supposed to be inside.
It's supposed to be in the club.
No, it's not supposed to be indoors.
You gotta get in your vibe.
If you do it correctly, it's always outside. It's not supposed to be.
I be scared to smoke hookah outside.
That hookah is
I be on my patio like, man, if this thing fall over, my house is on fire.
That hookah is killing y'all.
So first and foremost, shout out to LA. You know, California has always been the leader as far as health conscious laws and things of that nature. We were the first state to ban indoor smoking in restaurants and things of that nature. That is why there's no hookah in the clubs. If they have patios, you could go out there. But who wants to be in a smoky club? Like, it's crazy to me. People, I remember when they used to smoke on airplanes and there was a smoking section, and it really didn't make sense because all it was the back of the plane or some part would be the smoking section, and there would be clouds in the air of smoke and stuff like that. You gotta care about your lungs. You guys gotta find out what you're doing. I know it looks cool to blow the hookah smoke and stuff like that. Really, really unhealthy habit. And the least you could do if you're going to smoke it is make sure that you're getting it from a quality source and that, you aren't further blackening your lungs with all of that stuff. I mean, healthcare is expensive. And at the rate that we are going, plus we are living a little bit longer, listen, Social Security's not going to cover it. But that's just a random side. I just wanted to get that out there as a little health thing because I feel like we get so caught up sometimes in the fun of stuff, but we don't even really look at it. And we're going to have some interesting health problems later on. Hands, there's going to be a lot of hand problems, a lot of carpal tunnel and things like that because of phone usage, neck, etc. And, all the free smoke. It's going to be real bad for the lungs. All right, speaking of, you know that Nielsen is still around and they issue reports about ratings and rankings and viewing habits and listening habits. So, in the most recent report issued, they said that Black individuals, not just in the US, but abroad as well, often feel misrepresented in the media. That's no surprise, right? But Black Americans outpace the rest of the general United States population in terms of media consumption. Basically, with 81 hours per week in media, that includes TV, radio, the internet, etc. Check this out. For Black people 65 years old and older, that number rises to more than 92 hours a week. And at first I was like, what's going on or whatever. But then I thought about it. And if you are older, you are more likely to still watch TV and put the TV on as comfort or in the background and things like that. So I figure that is probably what contributes to the extra. Because you would think that as you get older, your consumption of media in that form would decline, but the opposite happens. So basically, Charlene Corley, who is the VP of Diverse Insights and Partnership at Nielsen, said that what they've discovered, through doing these reports and this report is that for Black Americans, media consumption is just the obvious key to Black culture. Content is. So, it's part of how we communicate. It is what we communicate about. It says that Black Americans are more likely than the general population to access 3 or more streaming services. Around 73% of Black people pay for 3 or more subscription-based streaming services, compared with 60% of just the general audiences. So we love our Netflix. We love our Zeus, I don't know what else, and we love our, Apple Prime, whatever. While that is impressive numbers, a lot, almost 3/4 of the Black population, 2/3 of Black Americans feel that Black representation on TV and media is inadequate. Big shocker there. Yet we still continue to consume the most. And this message of inadequate representation doesn't just sit with U.S. Black Americans. It's also included in the UK, Brazil, Nigeria, and South Africa. These are other places where this survey was put out. So which echoes the conversation that we had about, even though when it's all said and done, in most cases, having a diverse cast or diverse subject matter seems to bring in more money for TV and films, people just don't want to hear that. And I'm not one of those people that thinks every story needs to have a multiracial cast, or that there are not shows that can just focus on the white experience or the Black experience and we have to throw a token in there just to have a number. I think that that's not fair too, and that doesn't do us any justice. But I do think the pullback from diversity is interesting. It's just, do you really care about your money like you say you do, or do you just want to spite people? have to see what comes with it. Last thing before we come forward, you know that it's a missed opportunity because as Black people, we also, as consumers, have a great deal of buying power that only continues to expand. 59% of Black individuals were more likely to support brands that feature Black individuals than ads than not. And we like to shop. So it just makes good business sense. When we come forward, we'll get more into these findings, more trending topics and headlines. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
If you're looking for the most epic place on Earth, let's start at the base of a massive waterfall. Then trek through the thick jungle. Then climb to the peak of a snowy mountaintop. Then once you get there, keep going. Because with intelligent 4x4 and 7 drive modes and a Nissan Pathfinder, the search is the real adventure.
Available feature. Intelligent 4x4 cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
Some people just know the best places to eat around town. Those are the people who know to choose Allstate. They know exactly where to go to get exactly what you're wanting. They know where to find the spiciest hot pot, the gooeyest brownies, and the tenderest, most flavorful portobello steak. Those people also know that safe drivers save 40% with Allstate.
Saving 40% is based on the national average premium savings for all state auto customers with a clean driving record versus those without. Savings vary by state and vary based on how you buy, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks Vapors in an easy-to-apply stick. And it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower for steamy Vicks Vapors.
Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower use for adults only.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
You are locked in to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So we were talking about the Black community and our media consumption. Let me add to that before I close out this topic. Currently, Black buying power is at $1.7 trillion. It is estimated that by 2026, that is just 2 short years, that it's going to top $2 trillion. So what that says is, one, consumerism is going nowhere, especially for us. Even though we talk a lot about generational wealth, we like our things. And I'm not mad at it. I do like to shop, but just keep that in mind sometimes when we're thinking about our things, you know. I'm not telling you not to shop. I'm just saying, you know, maybe put $5 or $10 into something that will appreciate in value.
Yeah.
Andy?
Yeah, invest.
I mean, I just, again, I like to shop. You may not be able to tell, but I like to shop. Um, and but I do understand sometimes you want immediate gratification, but just a little bit of an investment, a small investment in your future, you would be surprised at what those little small gains can do. I just think it's important when you look at the dollar amounts that we have and the type of things that we control. One of the reasons, and I think I might have shared this before, when I worked at BET, which was at the time a Viacom company, and it's recently come out, they've talked about how low the ad rates were for BET compared to like a Comedy Central or VH1 at that time period, even though our ratings were better, the ratings were better at BET at the time. Part of the reason is the assumption that no matter what, Black people are going to consume media, and they take our views, our shares, our listens at times for granted. I don't know if boycotts still work in this environment, and I'm not suggesting anyone does. I'm just saying, remember that your views, shares, and all of that do count, and they do matter. So think about where you are putting them and where you're including them, and if you feel valued with the output that you are receiving from the other end. Basically, what this report shows is that even though there's a backlash right now, diversity is where it's at, man. It just is. Okay. Carmelo Anthony, we know that he's recently started his own podcast, like every other professional athlete at this point, much like streamers. I'm sure we're going to see some consolidation and shaking down of some of these pods, but Melo has a new one. And he also has his son, Cayenne, who is a budding high school superstar, which, obviously, like a lot of the offspring of professional athletes, he has his eyes set on a professional athlete, professional basketball career for himself. Well, Melo has recently come out and said, although we know he is one and done, famously at Syracuse, he doesn't see that in his son's future, and he doesn't want that. So let's take a listen to what he had to say.
My son is going to college. I don't even preach one and done to him. We're not even playing that game because I don't even want you to start thinking that right now.
Like, I'm ready now.
But you start shortcutting and you start rushing. We ain't rushing nothing. You going to college. If you had to stay for 2, you had to stay for 3, we going to college. We adapt as we go. If you ready to go after your first year, then we'll look at it. So the way you get there is by being patient, taking your time. Right. That's why in the NBA, you start seeing guys who come out one and done, or they going to Ignite and then they come to the league, they start falling off. I can't rate you as a pro right now at 16, 17 years old. You still haven't physically developed yet. You still haven't thought the game yet. You don't even know how to move on the court. I see the potential. But just know there's a large chance that you're going to come here and you're not going to play because you're just not prepared to be a pro yet.
So, I mean, I think that is very fair. I know that it is hard to grasp something like that, especially when you look at Melo's career and how he's kind of moved. And we think about a lot of times athletes that stay in school longer, people, for whatever reason, assume that they aren't as good. I guess it's because they don't get the chance to put their hands on them and develop them the way that they like. But I feel like some of that thought process needs to run back. And with the introduction of NILs, I still believe for some, we might see a little more extended time in college. I mean, not the top ones, obviously, but, those guys that are in between, those midway players, might see a couple more stay in college a little longer. Andy?
Although Melo is correct 100%, I think there's a variable with him being a former player who has bread. So, Cayenne,
facts.
Take your time. Same thing with Bronny James. Take your time. There's no need. Even if he was solid, like if he was could be the number 1 overall draft pick, I can see a one and done situation. But to Melo's point, he ain't there yet. But there's also no need to rush because Melo's my daddy. You know what I'm saying? There's no need to rush.
Facts. I mean, no, I completely agree with you. And I feel like take advantage of the fact that you can get your college education without the pressure, like you said, of having to support your whole family. Kenyon Martin said something similar about his son KJ. He talked about how for KJ coming into the league, he didn't have the same pressure that perhaps he himself had, Kenyon Martin Sr., or some of the other guys. KJ didn't have to come in and buy his parents a house or pay off their debt. So he could come in and be more focused on other things, make hopefully, better decisions than some of the other players as far as his finances go. And I'll give you another scenario where you even see something like that happening. You think about someone like Aoki Simmons, right? She graduated from Harvard. We know she graduated high school early, went to Harvard at 16, graduated at 20, and she's taking some time off to model. And I saw some commentary on social media saying, why is she wasting a Harvard education? And why is she getting to do this? And I think sometimes people get caught up in what they had to do versus what someone is allowed to do based on their circumstance. And I think if you can slow things down a bit without, like Andy mentioned, the specter of, poverty or trying to make things come together as your motivating factor for pushing yourself maybe before you're ready or before you need to, why not? That's what the dream is about. That is why you want to work hard, to be able to give your family, your children, or whomever options. That's what it is, And so I feel like it is a good thing that Carmelo is putting that now into his son's mind, especially because as we see more and more kids of former athletes stepping into the spotlight, we also are seeing more flame out. And, what that does to an average athlete's psyche is one thing, but one that is trying to perhaps live up to the shadow of their famous parent who is also a sports figure as well, pressure. And pressure can make diamonds or bust pipes. So take your time, enjoy the ride, enjoy that you have options, enjoy that you can explore the other side of it. Because if you look at certain players like Baron Davis, for example, who went to UCLA, who went to Crossroads, who got the opportunity to be in rooms with people that are now business leaders and CMOs and CEOs and things like that, those connections become invaluable later on. And you aren't always in the position to make those. So that's it. Listen, thank you for rocking with us here on RSVP with Jill Munroe and KBLA Talk 1580. Tomorrow is Wednesday, so, happy hump day. We're going to keep it all the way fun for you, as we always do, with more trending topics and headlines across entertainment, sports, lifestyle, and culture. Make sure you are back here at 9 p.m. tomorrow night Pacific time. I will see you then. I appreciate you as always. Have an amazing night.
Each time you smile,
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.